Are you ready? Can crush us. It don't really get no better than this the podcast that you're looking for if you're really heavy into wrestling. Hosted by the Mark. Energy that's so amazing. Gotta keep it entertaining. Rep the Can Crusher Nation. Yeah, you know what's going down in the ring. Lights out when you hit a ding ding. Knock 'em out like boom bada bing. Hold it down, you can crown me the king. Gotta shout out to the Miz and Duke the Dumpster. We choke slamming everybody, power driving, hit 'em with a face buster. Yeah, this the show you need and it ain't no need for waiting. Mark, hold it down for the Can Crusher Nation. All about wrestling and keep it entertaining. Can Crushers Wrestling Podcast. Time to break 'em, let's go. Yeah, Can Crushers. Yeah, Can Crushers. Let's go.
What's up, guys? My name is Keiko, the Hawaiian Warrior, and you are listening to What? Hang on a second. I got to stop this. I'm looking at my cue card that Mark handed me. It says I have to do this 80s promo style. So if you're tuning in, this is the Can Crusher Podcast, the only podcast that you should be listening to for all your professional and independent wrestling content. So make sure you tune in every single time that they post a new episode. Hit that subscribe button and listen to the Can Crusher Podcast, brother.
Now that right there is an intro. How does that not get you pumped up for Can Crushers Wrestling Podcast, the Spotlight Edition, with myself, Mark the Mark, just getting home from the trip around the world, well, at least to Erie, Pennsylvania, with the co-host, Sir Michael Jenks, that we have been waiting for so long. But that's in the past. That's a different time. That's a different story. Today, it is all about my guest, Taylor OneShot. Man, I've been following her for a while on social media, and one super emotional posts, gratitude, uplifting in everything. And she's fucking killing it in the ring. By the way, there's the explicit early and often on the show sometimes, but she's killing it in the ring. It's a wonderful story, and I can't wait for you guys to hear it. I can't wait to hear it, too. I know bits and pieces of it, but I don't know the whole thing, so I need to know the whole thing. So I'm super excited to have Taylor OneShot coming on the show to kick ass and take names, or chew bubble gum and kick ass and she's all out of bubble gum, or all of those, because this is going to be really super exciting for me. But, of course, you know what we have to do first. Tell you about Collar and Elbow. Hats, hoodies, tees, all the cool stuff that Al Snow and the Hooligans have down there. Go and buy it up for Christmas. And then use our promo code CANCRUSHERS. All one word, smashed together. Capital C in Can, capital C in Crushers. You'll save 10% on your entire order. That's awesome. Especially around, I was going to say Thanksgiving. I just said Christmas, but I'm now still thinking about Thanksgiving. Just around the time to save any little money that you can save is wonderful. We also have a WWE affiliate code. It is in the show notes, so make sure you click on there and you'll help support Can Crushers Wrestling Podcast. Where can you hear us? Jeez, everywhere. Really everywhere. Spotify, Google Play, Alexa, iHeartRadio, Podchaser. The list goes on and on and on. Wherever you're listening now, clearly one of your favorite outlets. So continue to listen there because that's where we are. But we're also on Podurama. If you ever want to check out an app that hosts podcasts, make sure you check out Podurama because it's seamless. From your phone to your computer to your laptop to wherever. Once you pause us, essentially, and then you pick us back up later on a different device, you won't have to scramble to find it and all that. And right now, Podurama, being linked with Can Crushers, you are getting 50% off a lifetime membership. That's really cool, huh? That really is cool. So check them out. It's an app. Just download it on any of your phone's devices or anything like that and go from there. Guys, we are getting set, as we said, to do another Ask Can Crushers in the middle of January. So that means you guys can start getting your questions in. Send them in to cancrusher69@gmail.com or on any of our socials, which are Facebook, Instagram, X, Threads, any way that you want to get in touch with us, go ahead and send those questions in. We dedicate that whole show to asking or answering the questions that you ask. And if you're an independent wrestler, referee, announcer, whatever, and you would love to be spotlighted on Can Crushers, use those same outlets. Reach out to us. 2024, we're starting to fill up January already, so get your foot in the door. Or if you want to schedule for later, we can do that as well. But come on the show. We invite you all the time because we love hearing your story, how you got wrapped up into this crazy business of professional wrestling, because it's so much fun. It is so much fun. All right, bills are paid. You're going to hear from Al Snow a little bit more about Collar and Elbow, and when we come back, we're diving into the interview with Taylor OneShot.
Wrestling. A love and a passion we all share. I've started a wrestling brand. The wrestling brand. A brand founded on the aspects of wrestling. Two entities working together to create a product that connect emotionally for people everywhere. Collar and Elbow is the brand. Passion and love for wrestling is the drive. I am Al Snow, and this is Collar and Elbow, the wrestling brand.
Hello, everybody. It is the Savage, Not Average, Backwoods Girl, Papa's Prodigy, Judy Hendricks, and you are listening to the most savage podcast out there with the most savage competitor in professional wrestling. Be sure to tune in and hear the most savage talks out there.
Welcome back to Can Crushers, folks. You heard how excited I was to have my guest coming on the show. It is for so many reasons, and I'm sure we'll get to them during the podcast. An all-around sweetheart, Taylor OneShot. Taylor, how are you doing today?
I am doing fantastic today. How are you?
I'm excellent because, one, I'm talking deal. Because
Awesome.
that's within itself. So how was the past holidays? Are you ready for Christmas? Any of that?
Past holidays were really chill, low key. Time with my family at my mom's. Let her be her rock star self and do the cooking and the meal and stuff.
Yes, me too.
It's good. I don't have to cook. I don't have to meal prep. I don't have to do any of that stuff, and I can take less pressure off of my diet. And just enjoy. And I'm looking to Christmas as much as anyone else. I'm not like gung ho Christmas, but I'm not also like a Scrooge or a Grinch. I'm very neutral.
If you would talk to my family, they would say I am the Scrooge or the Grinch. I will start my Christmas shopping on the 26th and all of that. Have you started any of your Christmas shopping?
I got one person their gift, and that is my niece, because she is the most important Christmas gift to get. Otherwise, everybody else is adults, and whatever happens, happens,
It is all about the kids. I will give you that. I will give you that. All right, let's do the rewind, because we want to know about your wrestling and everything that's going on with you, because you're crushing it on the wrestling and the social medias. And listen, I fourth wall down real quick. I told you you're an inspiration to me, everything you post every day. You get this 46-year-old man excited about going to work because your posts are just so meaningful. They're amazing.
Thank you. That's super sweet to hear. I just try to just be my genuine self. You know what I mean? I try to do things and say things that motivate me and encourage me when I read back through them. And then just to hear the feedback of other people, engaging with it and finding motivation and positivity through that is really awesome. And it helps kind of fuel you in everything that you're doing. And it helps, feel good and motivate me. So it's like a cycle of sorts, it's all good things.
It really is. I'm glad you're spreading the love. But all right, who introduced you to this crazy sport of professional wrestling? Mom, Dad, Aunt Sally, Uncle Joe, somebody random?
When I was a kid, it was probably my dad for sure. But like we were a wrestling family. We all sat around and watched like the WrestleManias and stuff. I remember watching, I forget the number right now. I want to say 11 or 12. And forgive me if it's not, but it was the Razor Ramon Shawn Michaels one. I remember was really big moment.
10.
With the whole family, the ladder match. 10. Okay.
Yep.
And I was the only one going for Shawn Michaels. Everybody else was Razor. Looking back now, I'm a really big Razor fan. I actually even do the fallaway slam as kind of a salute to Razor. But yeah, that was a big family memory. I remember just kind of sitting around in the house and just so it's always been a family thing for sure. But probably my dad and my older brother.
So you're stealing some of my thunder already, and that's all right because I do a comparison of who I think you are down the line, and I give you 3 wrestlers, and you've taken one of them already. So,
wow.
but, yeah, we're good. We're good. So I'm 1 for 3 at least. I know that.
It happens.
It does.
It happens.
So why? Listen, I'm a gnat. We'll jump all over the place. Why were you going for Sean and not Razor at that time?
Well, for me, I mean, it might even be that way, like overall for me, like, I don't know, the showmanship that Sean always had, like the charisma. I don't know. He was the sexy boy. He was out there doing it. He had all the moves. He had the flashy kick and the elbow drop. And, you know what I mean? He was rolling around with Diesel and stuff at some point, and he always has the girls on his side. I don't know. I was into Sean. It was a thing. Whatever.
Yeah, no, that's all right. I'm just trying to maybe start a fight between us or something. I'm not. So besides Sean, who else were some of your favorites when you got into liking wrestling?
Oh, for sure, Sting. Sting is like probably my favorite of all time, and like Surfer Sting, like, you know what I mean, watching him, like,
thank you. Yes.
Yeah, you know, some Lex Luger going against Ric Flair, Vader, Sid Vicious or Psycho Sid, or whatever he's going by at the particular time. You know, just like those old like battle balls and the bashes at the beaches, and even some NWA stuff. And then obviously Crow Sting. Loved Crow Sting. Huge 90s kid, so that was definitely what's up. But yeah, no, Sting is definitely my favorite of all time wrestler for sure.
So how far back do you go watching wrestling then? Because you know NWA is, you know, my niche when I was a kid. It was WCW then, or like how far back do you go?
Okay, so initially, yeah, NWA, early WCW, kind of that's what I remember watching. But like going back, I've watched some like World of Sport and stuff in the UK there with like Regal and like Dynamite Kid and all that. A lot of stuff in Japan, you know what I mean, different various promotions, but probably like, I don't know, maybe the 70s, sometimes lightly dabbled in the 60s, you know, but like, I like to occasionally jump around in my studying, when I'm just doing stuff like depending on if I'm like studying, like working or selling or different things that I might be going for in that particular to get better at or focus on. I jump around in the eras to try to get different flavors or maybe bring some sauce from this soup here that they were serving in 19 whatever and bring it over here and mix it with this and create a new dish. So,
I love that. Can I steal that from you? I love that.
By all means. By all means.
So let's talk about sports growing up. What were you into then and all of that? Because everything leads to wrestling, right?
Yeah, I mean, outside of wrestling being a sport for sure. Football, basketball, never liked baseball. Baseball is really boring to me, and I'm sorry, baseball fans, but it's slow. And you know it's slow, and I'm sure you love it for that, but whatever. I don't. Basketball is my number one sport for sure. Grew up a Lakers fan, like pre-Kobe Shaq era, when we had like a post-Magic though too. Like in like Elgin Baylor and Nick Van Axel, and
when you were mediocre.
Yeah, well, I'm just trying to show that I wasn't just like a front runner for Shaq and Kobe. Like I was there right before they got there, but yes, when they got there, like boom, you know what I mean, a lot of championships. Yeah,
I get it.
Fan.
Yeah. All right. So basketball, you're number one. Football. So everything leads to wrestling. At least I can spin it into, because the conditioning and everything that you get in both football and basketball and yada yada yada. So when was that aha moment that you're like, you know what, I'm getting into wrestling?
Oh, for me, like my aha moment was like 2.5 years ago. I mean, it's something I wanted to do like my whole life, for sure. I'm actually a little older. I'm in my 30s, my early 30s.
You're still a kid to me.
Thank you. I like to project a nice youthful image. People sometimes tell me, you project 26, and I'm like, cool, awesome, let's go with that. Keep rolling with that, because my body says, let's say 28. You know, I'm trying to be optimistic here. I'm fighting back against it. But no, I don't know. Ultimately, I was like hit a point in my life where I had accomplished a lot of like life goals that I had and huge life dreams that I didn't think that I would ever really achieve. And once that I kind of did, I hit a moment where I was like, all right, well, like, what do I do next? I like to be goal motivated and have like big goals to go after, especially when I started actually going after them in life. And I kind of waited a long time to do a lot of that. But once I knew I could do it, I knew I could achieve these big feats. I was like, let's do this. And I knew someone in my life who had the abilities to teach me and train me and who I was super chill with already. So, it all just kind of clicked together a few years ago, to like August 2020 or 21. I don't remember. I'm bad at math sometimes, but yeah, no. I started training for wrestling. I trained for like a year and a half, 2 years, and then debuted last year in like a Rumble. My first official actual match was this January of this year, 2023 was my first like singles match.
We'll get to that. So let's talk about some of your
skipping around.
Yeah, no, that's all right. You're like me. I clearly see it. Let's talk about some of that training. Like how you said you knew somebody. Is it somebody you want to mention, or because we love on Can't Crushers giving props to those who's trained you guys as well. So.
Yeah, no. I was friends with a few years with Fox Vineyard. So I knew him for a number of years, and I knew he was a relatively like over local wrestler. He seemed like he had his stuff together. I'd always see him at any local indie event that I happened to go to, because I wasn't like, there was a period where like wrestling was not my everything at all. It was like very rare that I even was there, but whenever I did, I would see that he was there. And then I knew him. And then they started running the school up in South Glens Falls, like around the same time when I became healthy enough to start training again after a surgery I had. So yeah, I started training with Fox Vineyard, and then they had Vic Delicious out of the NWA, and I learned a lot from him too. Various other people in and out, but those two were the two persistents. And then Fox is someone who I've carried on as like a mentor throughout the early half of my wrestling career here, and still to this day, so definitely the props to those two individuals for sure.
Yeah, both you can call it the drop of a hat, and they'll give you either a critique or, you're doing this great, you're doing that great, kid. Keep rushing, keep doing this, right?
For sure.
Or they'll say, no way.
Super busy. He's always super busy with the NWA. He's killing it. He's doing his thing. The now. But I always keep top the line for sure whenever I can, and he's gives me a critique, an honest critique that I can trust, for sure.
Right.
That's not going to be, if it's mean, well, it's not a mean, you know what I mean? But if it's like not what you're looking for, that it's a place of critique and a place that you can learn from.
Right.
And I need that for sure.
Those are sometimes better than you're doing great. Oh my God, I love everything you do. You
get that a lot as a positive loop, and that positive loop can keep you in a standstill.
Yeah. So
not that it's negative, but it's, criticism.
Yeah, and criticism helps you grow.
Yeah.
So let's talk about first day of training. You go in, I'm going to take over the world, da-da-da-da-da. How'd you feel after first day of training? Because these are the great stories.
Yeah, so I went up there, you know what I mean? I didn't think I was going to take over the world. I was totally not cocky and arrogant like that, but I was like, let's go, let's do this. I'm pretty tough, huh? I go to hardcore shows and mosh pits and smash around. Let's go. But my back was a lot of bumps. You know what I mean? It's pretty much just like all bumps, some grappling, hitting the ropes a little bit. But my neck hurt a little bit because you're learning the technique of taking the bumps. So you're going to take some not great technique ones at first.
Oh, yeah.
And your body doesn't have the calluses or any of that buildup of the muscle pain. So yeah, you know what I mean? A lot of back pain, a lot of, I remember one kid threw up. Yeah. I didn't throw up. No, not me. I have great cardio. But
there's a story there. There's definitely a story there.
Yeah, because you run around and stuff too, and you do drills, blow up drills and all that stuff to make sure you're conditioned well. But no, definitely for me, it was like a lot of back pain, some neck pain from just taking bumps and learning to take them properly.
What was the hardest thing for you to get in training, even over like a couple months or something, because it's not correct for us to throw each other down. You know, myself just to go throw myself on the floor, or was it ropes suck running? I will always say that they suck. Everybody's like, oh, they're easy. Get in and run them one time. Or was it maybe like the psychology? Because listen, that's pretty rough to handle once in a while.
Honestly, I feel like if anyone says that it's anything other than the psychology of it, especially in the early on, it's got to be the psychology, and especially in the early on, but even now in a year, like only a year in, psychology is still something that I work with, and I have to build on and grow and like identify and structure who I am, who is Taylor OneShot fully. I know I have a good idea. I present that pretty decently, but for sure, that's something that you could always heavily build up upon. I feel like any level that you're on. Physically struggled on at first. It wasn't ropes. I don't know. For me, it was like I was just coming off a surgery, so I couldn't take front bumps for the first month and a half, 2 months into the training, just because it just affected the surgery area. I don't know if that's fair or not as an answer, but
no, I guess. Clearly, it's yours. Yeah, you can tell me whatever you want. You can say my big toe hurt, so I didn't want to do those. That's fine.
No, I had to. I couldn't do the front bumps I like lightly and like kind of building up the idea of how to do them, but I just physically couldn't. Otherwise, I was like, oh well, I'm gonna die or something. So none of that, please. I jumped into training. So I had gender reassignment surgery, and then I jumped into training 3 months after that, and you're approved for like normal life at 3 months. And then you're approved.
You're going all the way in at 3 months, though.
I went into professional wrestling training 3 months post-op. So yeah, for me it was that. You know what I mean? Trying to work around my body, feeling out my new body, while also, figuring out how to do this like super painful, high impact thing. So for me, that was that.
Did you ever have that moment? You're like, well, I did this for 3 months. I'm pretty good.
No. Good. In fact, I had some people, I mean, I don't like telling the full story, and I'm not going to tell all of it, but the dude who owned it, I didn't love him, and I'm not going to name drop him at all, and he was neither of the two people, because I love those two people, but big against me, big like doubted me, big like you're not going to do this, you can't, you know what I mean, you don't want it. That place is closed down now, and I feel like I'm doing really good, so I'm out there wrestling in 5 states in a year across 11 promotions so far. So
that's more than some people get in 5 years of wrestling, Taylor. It really is. Sometimes they're, and I'm not knocking them because I've had some of them on the show and this, that, and the other thing. Some of them are like, hey, you're in our promotions for 2 years, and then maybe we'll let you get out. And then, it's a tough battle to get your feet wet other places.
Yeah.
You're just crossing stuff off. Taylor OneShot here, there. I'm like, what is going on with Taylor? And I'm like,
shoot him a lot of messages to every promotion, or like, and not just like the same message. Don't copy and paste.
Oh, God,
Send out a message for each one that you looked at them, and they're going to look a little similar because you're sending the same type of message, but make it as personal as you can given the situation. Anytime I see someone saying, hey, we need a female talent, I'm on it. I'm on it quick too. Because I am eager and I want to get out there and I want to prove myself and I want to travel and I want to, I want to wrestle against good talent so I can, iron sharpens iron. So, as much as wrestling against, anybody is good, but the better talent you're wrestling against, you're going to learn more from it. So I'm eager. So, yeah.
And you get to pick their ear usually in the back and say, hey, this, that. I think that's a lot of great moments within itself.
Oh, sometimes, like for me, it's kind of like an unspoken thing. I say it jokingly sometimes. For me, like, so my favorite version of any wrestling match that I've been a part of is the version of the match that you call in the back, like before the show, where it's like, because you're doing the half moves almost. You're running the sequences together. You're kind of goofing off. You're doing the silly little walk steps to go into a little thing. I do this. You fall down. just the way that you connect with some of the wrestlers, especially me and some of the girls, it's a fun little time. And anyone who gets to see that version of the match, for me, it's like the best version of the match to me sometimes. That most fans don't even know about, don't ever get to see or experience. I don't really ever hear anybody talk about, but that's my favorite like wrestling match sometimes is that cute version in the back.
Yeah, we kind of try to keep those. Everybody knows they happen, so it's not a fourth wall come down. Everybody knows they happen, but that's kind of like the wrestlers' own moments. I would love to talk about some of the ones I saw because I'm like, man, this is a 5-star, just a walkthrough of what I'm going to see later on tonight. You know, setting up chairs, whatever I'm doing, just running in and out. I'm like, holy moly, this is going to be amazing.
I mean, that's sometimes. I have wrestled, again, we're fourth wall breaking or whatever, but the business has been broken over.
I know.
I hate even saying the business. I feel like I'm going to slap myself later for even just saying the business. But it's so exposed. I don't know. I've called some matches or had some matches called in the ring or whatever too. You know what I mean? Where it's like more organic, I guess, or whatever. But it's wrestling.
It's wrestling. So let's talk about that first match then. Let's talk about that first match. Did you go back and watch it after so long? Are you never going to watch it again? Because I get mixed emotions from everybody I talk to.
I don't know. I watched it like a bunch earlier on in the first few months. I haven't watched it in a while. And I have that kind of like, I'm like, oh, I don't want to watch it. I don't know, like sometimes you cringe watching self-performances, even if you're doing good or not. I don't know, the match was okay. It could always be a lot better. I could have sold a lot better. I could have done, there's so many, I could have done this, I could have done that. But it's so much easier to say when you're watching through a more experienced set of eyes than where you were when you did that, you know?
Right.
Totally glad I had that experience. Like super proud of myself for getting out there in front of the crowd, doing it, proving to myself that I could do it to other people. Falling, failing, being okay with knowing that you're going to fall and fail. I try. I want to look at it as a positive more so. Was it a great match? No, don't watch it. Don't match it. Am I going to show it to anybody if I want them to book me? No. I'll show other matches. Thank you.
Right.
But it's a stepping stone into where I am today, which is a little bit better than that.
Yeah, listen, first podcast. It's a building block, exactly like you said. To rewind a little bit, you tell the family that you're getting into professional wrestling. What do they say?
Cool, pretty much for me. You know what I mean? Like, awesome, you cool. You're doing that. Sounds dope. I had already done so many different things that they kind of just rolled with it, you know. Concern for travel, maybe for my mom occasionally. If I go places, you know, she's like, oh, hey, be safe, do this, do that, check the car, you know what I mean? But no, everybody's kind of cool with it, rolling with it, excited. Some of my family goes to some shows and stuff like that when they can. I mean, I have like my brother and his fiance will come to me to occasional promotions sometimes, typically ones closer to home. And will help do ring crew even. Nice. They know how to set up a ring now, you know what I mean? And some people just probably assume that they're wrestlers or something. And I'm like, nah, they're with me, you know what I mean?
They're that guy. Yeah.
Yeah, well, because I always like to do the ring too, because I like to learn the little quirks and, you know what I mean, of any ring that I'm working in. But they just like to help out. And if they're there anyway, they're like, why not? So I've taught them how to set up a wrestling ring too through that. So, just so you know, promoters, I come occasionally with 2 other people who are not wrestlers but know how to set up a ring.
That's a bonus. Thank you for that, as we talked earlier. Deal. I just lost train of thought. Mom, biggest fan now?
I don't know. There's this lady at work, this old lady who's got my sticker on her fridge. She is a sweetheart. You know, she's got some competition for mom. You know, I go to mom's house for Thanksgiving. I'm like, where's the Taylor OneShot sticker? What the heck? Old lady at work's got it on her fridge. What's going on, mom?
Old lady at work probably has the new shirt already too. And we'll get to all your promotions. But yes.
She might have she has the sticker for sure. the sticker that corresponds with that shirt.
Mom's got nothing. Mom, you're letting us down, Mom.
Nah, she's got the old shirt. She's got some 8x10. She's got pictures that no one else has, So, like, I'm not trying to sell Mom down the river here, but old lady at work is a sweetheart, so she's competition. So I don't want to just give that spot to any one participant. Just know that there is competition.
Okay.
This
is the question I was telling you about, where I will say, who is Taylor OneShot? And I'll stop you, because my 3 people, you've given one of my answers away because of exactly what you do. Scott Hall, Razor Ramon, whatever you want to call him, in your fall away slam. Yeah. Unbelievable. We're going to round and say you're a year into business. We're going to throw training out, but a year into business. Unbelievable you do that so well. It's like you learned it from him. So awesome. The other 2, Beth Phoenix, because when you walk into the ring, the clips that I have seen, there's a presence about you of glam and slam, and you could be America's sweetheart, but you could put a fist down somebody's throat in a heartbeat. And then the other one is Chyna, because of everything you talked about, your transition and everything, and Chyna has transitioned professional wrestling for the ladies, for myself, into everything that she's done. So how close am I to?
No, it's really good for sure. Chyna is a huge inspiration for me because she was such a game changer for women's wrestling and wrestling in general. Being this strong, powerful, intimidating force of a woman that we still have almost yet to really see to this day. There are some comparables, your Rhea Ripley's, your Beth Phoenix's, and all that stuff. Your strong women, out there of the world, where there are plenty. But Chyna was a big one because it's a pivotal point in growing up. Low key thing too that most people don't always know, but I always knew it, being someone I knew I was trans super young. Chyna was the first person that I ever knew of who had undergone facial feminization surgery, which is just a series of surgeries across the face in a package set of deal that they call facial feminization, because she was, had a tougher face at first. If you pay attention, you can see where she left. I'm not going to name drop or wherever, but she left, she came back, she had the surgery, and her face was softer features. And I always knew that as a kid, and I remembered that, and that stuck out to me for whatever reason, and made me latch on to her a little bit more, because I was just I want, it made me identify with her, or relate with her more, knowing that was something that I wanted, and a struggle that I could tell that she went through herself, and I go through too. So I identify with her for sure. And then as a wrestler as well, her definitely. Scott Hall, love him. You know what I mean? The bad guy. He's a great personality, great heel in the business, really great mind. From what I've always heard, is he was the one who came up with the crow sting idea.
Yep.
Dope idea. Come on. And then to give it to somebody to have good ideas, and then to give them to other people and not be hey, that's my good idea for me. That seems like a good person to me. You know what I mean? Not such a bad guy after all.
Right.
So, which I'm here for, because maybe the world perceives you as a bad guy, but you're a sweetheart, God damn. So I can relate with that. Love the fallaway slam. Do it as a nod for sure, to Scott Hall. And then you said Beth Phoenix. That makes sense too. Similar reasons as Chyna, but more so the more modern day comparable. I honestly wasn't watching wrestling a lot during a time in the 2000s to late 2010s. Didn't see a lot of Beth Phoenix. Didn't see a lot, but what I did, I was always impressed of, and going back and looking at her, she is somebody who I definitely go back and watch tape of. That time that I missed in wrestling, I try to study a lot more, because watching it for the first time for me for a lot of those matches, and some of them are bangers and a lot of good personalities too. So, yeah, that's good. You did good.
If you could pick 3, clearly Scott Hall's there, Chyna's there. Who would be your third then?
I don't know.
See, turn the question around. It's not as There's easy.
So many great personalities, and I'm looking in my room right now, and I have all of these wrestling figures around me. So I'm quite literally looking around in a room where I'm looking at all these great faces, and some of them are still going today, and some of them are all-time legends. And I'm which one of you?
Right.
Who? And I don't know.
And it
Somebody
changes so often with, like, it may be a new gimmick, a new style that you learned or something like that. So, yeah, you don't have to answer. I'm just.
No, yeah. There's a lot of great names that it could be, but you did good, so I like it.
Nice. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, let's take a hot second break from wrestling and learn a little bit more about you. And you brought up one thing that I'm a big fan of already. So let's talk about some of your nerd out stuff. And if you got a lot of figures hanging around, what are they? LJNs, Hasbros, the newer ones, what?
I got a bunch all over the place. I got some Toy Biz WCW stuff too. Some like the Sting and the Kevin Nashes and stuff too. The ECW, I forget who makes all those, like the Taz and the Dudley Boys. I got a bunch of the modern day AEWs, some Funkos and stuff. That's just what's in my room. But I know I have a huge toy collection. I have something like almost 400 Funko Pops. I haven't even bought any in like 6 years, but I was like going really hard, really bad for a number of years. Power Rangers is a huge thing I collect right now. I have like pretty much the entire Lightning collection, which is a modern day collection, but I got some of the retros. You know, it can be bad for me. I'm a toy collector.
I get the Funko Pops. I get all of everything you said. The Funko Pops I wanted to start because, again, I'm 46. They started just a couple years ago, and CM Punk had one, and I'm like, oh yeah. And then AG Lee hit. I'm like, they're gonna start making a ton. And the wife started yelling at me. I should probably not get in it. There's a million of them now.
Yeah.
Luckily, and this is bad news, the Wrestling Loot Box sent a Daniel Bryan one when he was Daniel Bryan, not Bryan Danielson.
Right.
And I'm like, oh man, I got one now. But then I went back and I looked at, like, and I'm using Punk and AJ Lee because they're ungodly amounts. I'm like, well, I don't need to collect those because I'm not spending $10,000 for an AJ Lee one. She'll really kill me.
No, my collection is worth over 13,000. A lot of the pops I have are some of the early first few years of the pops.
Yeah.
So they're in pretty high demand. There are some of those, like I got the two I'm looking at. I have the two Kobe Bryant ones. Those are like, some of them are like $400 or $500 each, sticks, like Beavis and Butthead I got from Australia, like years and years ago, because they weren't available here. And we did like a huge bulk order. Me and my brother were collecting. It was really bad for a number of years, but I stopped. Like, I felt like they were oversaturating them, like 6-7 years ago. So I kind of stopped, but I still have so many of them. And then it's almost like a pop stock market now. Do I sell them, keep them? What do I even do with them? It's almost a pop burden because they sit in boxes, steamed up. I got the Sting one signed by Sting. I keep that in my ring or in my room. I wish I had a ring in my room. That'd be cool.
Right. Have you ever thought about popping yourself yet? You can make your own. That sounds weird. I'm sorry. That came out weird.
No, yeah, I get it. I wouldn't. I would never. I feel like I want to, at this point, I would want to either, like, if someone was to do something adorable, like, oh my God, that's so sweet. But I would secretly love it, like a lot.
Old lady in the office, when you're listening to this, you should. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
I'm saying if you'd like. But no. Or if it ever organically happened, that'd be amazing. But I don't know. I'm gonna stay away from that. It's wrestling can be ego driven enough as it is.
Touche.
I don't need to be making my own toys right now on my own.
Besides figures and collections and everything, what else do you kind of nerd out about? What do you, you video gamer? You love music? What else?
I like video games a lot. I play. I wish I played a lot more than I do, but I don't as much as I used to. But I used to love like Zelda, Final Fantasy. Played so much Halo 3. A lot of that. Right now, I don't have as much time, so I just like play drop in, drop out games where you can play like a match or two and leave. But I still hop into Tears of the Kingdom, Zelda. I'm trying to play that on my Switch when I have time, but I just do a lot with wrestling. Going to the gym. I go to the gym twice a day, every day. That's exhausting.
It is.
Yeah. So I don't have that time anymore. But I was a super avid gamer. Music. Used to really love music too. I went really hard for like the first the teenage to first half of adult life. I went really hard with music, hardcore shows all the time. I was like, hey, where are you? You're at 2 hardcore shows this weekend. Anywhere USA, mosh pits, smashing people up. I used to play drums, used to sing, was on a few band CDs and stuff like that. Some were like my brothers and some were like a band I grew up listening to. I got to write lyrics on a song that I grew up listening to, and then they got back together in 2015 and knew them, got to add lyrics to a song. That was super cool. I've worn a lot of hats in my life.
See that?
Yeah. So music, that was a thing. That was I did comic books. I read comic books. I got super into that for like 3 years. And I did a YouTube channel. It's the reason why I have like 2,000 subscribers on my YouTube page, is like did the comic book thing, and was doing like reviews for DC Comics, and they were giving me books a week in advance, and doing something like dramatic comic book readings I was doing, where I was like narrating the book and adding like subcontext or context to the book, and then I would be like, and then Batman says, and I would be Batman and be like, what's going on, Gotham City?
Nice.
Yeah, maybe that's not the voice per se, but you know what I mean? Like, and then I go, thank you, on the spot. And then so I sometimes do takes where I'd bounce back and forth between 3 characters or 4 characters, and one of them would be like the narrator. But a few, did that for a few years. It was pretty popular. I have some videos that are in like the semi-1,000 views.
I need to go find this as soon as we hang up, by the way. I'm telling you, I'm going to probably text you later on tonight and say, oh my God.
Great. The only thing that I don't like about it is a lot of it I did before I transitioned. So a lot of it is in dead name voice and in dead name personality. I typically don't advertise it as much. But yeah, it still exists. It's out there. I'm so proud of the content, which is why I don't delete it.
Right.
Because all the dead name stuff in there or whatever. But what are you going to do? That's the breaks of this life. But no, I did that. Pretty successful with that for a while. I did drag. I was a drag queen for like 5 years. Wasn't really great at that. That was the one that but I just kept trying, and I went out there, and sometimes I would just go to shows just to go out and be dressed up. I was better at that than the performing aspect of it, but I did it and I had fun. And I got
YOLO, right? You got one life. Live it up.
I wouldn't be me too today, like me, the person, if it wasn't for the character that I created then, to explore who I was as a person.
Right. You brought it up a couple times. I don't know how much of the story you want to tell that you're trans. Is it? I don't know how to transition into it. Essentially, we talked a little bit off there, but do you want to tell that story or whatever?
Not too much for me. It's like I am.
Right.
Yay is out there. This is what I am. It's an aspect of my life. It's several rippling effects that are deep cutting within it. But like the personal aspects of it or whatever, and it's. It's one of those stories you start hearing. You hear 12 trans stories. You start hearing a lot of common overlapping positives, traumas. You know what I mean?
Right.
Overcoming things, and there's a lot of common variables. You know what I mean? So like, I don't want to bore anybody down with that, or like, oh, what was me and this and that, or oh, she's overcome this or that. There's some good stories in there, some hard hitting like stuff that is very personal that I'd rather not. So yeah, just I am, and that's cool. I make it a low key part of my stuff. I don't make it like this is my gimmick, but I always like to represent for sure. I don't hide it. I have my necklace that I always wear during Pride. I came out to the ring with the flag. I thought that was pretty cool. That meant a lot to me during Pride. Always representing. It's might subtly be in my artwork here or there, but it's never like the omnipresent force.
I get
that
it.
like dominates. Oh
yeah, and I get it. And I'm going to say this, and you can smack me. You can tell me to edit out later on. You're on here because you're a professional wrestler, and I love what you're doing in the ring. If it sounds mean or rash, I don't mean it. It's not because you're trans. You're a wrestler, and I want to talk to you because you're kicking ass and taking names. So yeah. Okay. All right, 2 stupid questions, because I love throwing a couple stupid questions in, and you're going to be like, oh, Mark, you're horrible at these. But good, that's what they're meant to be. So your Taylor OneShot, what would happen if it would be like 2-shot Taylor? Would it be...
Okay. So, only because you have briefly tackled on it. So I was at last event, or was it the last? It was the event before for a certain promotion that I worked. We were on a Rumble, and I defended my women's championship, and successfully, mind you, against Big Juicy. And then a number of us, including myself, participated in a Rumble for a shot at the championship, another championship in the promotion. And I was like, well, hey, what if I was to get eliminated, because I'm not trying to, but like, what if I was to come in again? Could I enter the ring as Taylor's second shot?
Yes.
It's like, it's my second shot, but then like if I win, it's like, does Taylor OneShot get the win in the title shot, or does Taylor second shot get it? That's a question we didn't get to answer, so maybe one day we'll find out, but I have thought about it.
Okay, so we'll put a pin on that and come back to that in a while.
We'll circle back. Long-term booking.
And that's the best thing, by the way. We'll talk storylines here in a minute.
Yeah, totally.
If you could be on one TV show ever, what TV show would it be and why?
Is it Boy Meets World?
Is it?
Is that the answer?
Is it? I love it.
It might be, right?
Right.
Like, or like Power Rangers for me, like, as I'm big into that, I don't know. It might be Boy Meets World. That might be the answer. I love Seinfeld, but I don't know. That's kind of like, do I fit in with the crew, or they're just like, hey, we already have a George,
I'd picture you more as a Kramer. I really would. You just come barreling in. Oh,
yeah. I might just open up the door and be like, hey, I need some pickles, Jerry. What's up?
Yeah.
Toughest. It might be Boy Meets World.
I think it definitely is. I definitely didn't think we would talk about Boy Meets World tonight, but yeah, I love it.
It's wholesome.
Toughest question that we ask here on Can Crushers. Wrestling continues to change, good, bad, ugly. There's, stigmas out there about it, this, that, and the other. If you could eliminate one thing in the professional wrestling world, what would it be?
Ooh.
There's a lot, I know, but pick your top tier one.
No, for me, it would be this whole thing where you'll have a card of like 9 matches, and one women's match. The disparity between men's and women's matches is what I would erase for sure.
Agreed. It is blasphemy. Listen, we're going to round again. It's 2024. There's no reason there should be one or none women on a card. If there's 8 matches, get ready. I'm going to be the trucker, and this is why I get explicit. Fucking put 4 on there. Stop it already, right? Just do it.
I'm saying, if you take out the worst men's match and put on another women's match. Take out the best men's match and put on one women's match. Put on more women's matches. No matter how you work out the card, there's more of us. There's increasingly more of us. We're inspiring an increasingly more generation, some of which you are already seeing wrestling today in the ring at such young ages, like your Billy Sparks and the super fan Izzy Moreno.
Yep.
You got these super young girls out there killing it. And they were inspired by some of the wrestlers who are still going at it. The women's wrestlers are still going at it today. I've had conversations with women that I've already wrestled, who I had to tell them, like, hey, like, you inspired even myself, and you inspire younger girls who are going to become another generation of wrestlers and stuff. So, that disparity, because like the times are a-changing,
Yeah. Taylor, I just got back from WrestleCade this past weekend, and there's Ladies' Night Out, and I'll tell you, that card was better than several other cards, and you brought up 2 names that were actually on it. Izzy and Billy were both there, and Izzy got one of the biggest. Billy is so over, you know that, but a lot of people still don't know who Izzy is, but man, did she get a pop for the whole night, everything she did, and she's a legit baby in this business, and she's got the brass ring, the golden ring already. She's amazing. So
she has the opportunities, the resources, the abilities, the moment, the story that's already like pre-built in there for sure, and the desire, the passion. You have to have that. You know what I mean? Plenty of people had the opportunities, the resources, the path, and haven't done anything. So she seems really positive and seems like a good thing, and is even inspiring girls who aren't much younger than herself already. So that's even the both of them. So that's even cool too, because they're seeing already like, oh wow, they're not that much older than me. Right. I can do this and be them if I do this now. So like that's important, really important too. So I'm loving it.
Did you have that moment yet of somebody coming up to you saying, "Oh my God, now I want to become a professional wrestler because of you," or did you have that? Because if not, and I don't be brash again, it's coming because the way that you're changing everything, it's coming. Have you had it yet, though?
I mean, I've had the people who are inspired by my base story. I say my base story, you know what I mean, and stuff like that. And I have people who hit me up about that per se, or it gets them to do their thing. You know what I mean? Is what I'm big on. I'm like, well, if wrestling isn't your thing, I'm a big on like, if it gets you to do whatever your thing is for you. I've definitely had a lot of people hit me up with that. As far as wrestling, you know what I mean? I've had like one of the sweetest things I saw was a girl in the crowd responded to one of my earlier pieces of gear when I was trying to figure out like what I was rolling with or whatever. I make all my own gear. I had one of my logos was like, it had the trans logo bigger on it. When I was before I kind of like didn't want to make that the centerpiece, but I remember her saying like, "Hey mommy, look like me." She wasn't like super young, you know what I mean? She was like a teenager or something like that, but either way, she said something like that, or somebody told me that backstage, so I didn't hear it directly, but I was like, well, that's cute. That's cute. That was like earlier on. I want to say that was like last March. I remember somebody telling me about that. It was cute, but no one's ever come up to me yet and been like, "Oh, hey, I want to wrestle because of you." At training, there was like a girl or two who like started training because they were like, "Oh, hey, cool, you're doing this, and how can I go?" They don't wrestle now, which stinks because I wanted them to, because we have more people to wrestle right now, you know?
Right. Yeah. What's the best advice you've gotten behind the curtain from somebody? Either your trainers, or maybe you went to a seminar, or just another wrestler or something?
Oh boy. I can't think of anything right now. So the thing that keeps like burning out in my head is don't be stupid, you know? Especially when you're going somewhere big, like be respectable, be kind, represent yourself, shake all the hands. You know what I mean? Don't do anything stupid, you know, as far as like in the ring, or, you know what I mean, in the camaraderie and the setting up the ring crew. So just kind of like watch yourself, watch your behavior, be respectful, shake the hands, say hello to everybody. You don't never know who anyone might become. And even if you don't, and if it, you know, like just be respectful with everybody and be chill, shake all the hands. That's, don't be stupid too. Yeah. That one keeps sticking in my head too.
That's great. It really is great advice that gets lost sometimes though. It really is. How much wrestling do you get to watch today? We kind of pandered around this, but now just get right into it. Like, do you watch everything? Do you spend 45 hours of your week watching everything? Are you a clip watcher? Are there favorites right now, storylines that you love?
So like I was definitely watching a lot more wrestling leading up into right before training and then into training, like as far as the live active current product. You know what I mean? Like I was engaged fully. I was watching all of it. Now I watch a lot of the pay-per-views and stuff like that. I'll watch more like in the moment. If something big happens on like the current product, I'll go back and check it out or something like that. But I do a lot of jumping around time, you know, the time hop a little bit. I'll pick different matches, or even just like I'll watch a whole random pay-per-view or random few episodes of a show or something, either live or even if it's not like one of your big promotions, you know, if I'm just jamming out something else on like YouTube or something, going through a power block of that. I'm a traveler, you know. I like to eat the different ice creams and sample the different foods, and so if that answers your question, that's the answer, sir.
Yeah, sir. Thanks. That's very nice. Thank you. No, it makes perfect sense because can you watch it for fandom anymore before I say what I was going to say?
No, 100%. If you can't, it's my opinion. I mean, I don't know what the other people are going to say and the older folks or whatever. if you can't still like mark out to something, quote unquote, or get excited, you know what I mean, or be fooled or be swindled or get over invested into a storyline, or you know what I mean, be surprised and get that genuine excitement, like what are you doing here? Because if I feel like if you want to create those same moments, you know what I mean, you got to be able to feel those same moments, right? And to know what it took to get and create those moments. So yes, you can still be a big fan. If you can't, what are you doing?
You answered that, and I don't have to have the follow-up then. So perfect. Yeah, it's exactly right. I mean, we're all Marks to start. My mom aptly named me Mark. She knew I was going to be a big wrestling fan or in the sport, so she's like, oh, might as well just name this guy Mark because that's what he's going to be.
I'm saying, you know, I throw myself under the bus. I bought the MJF pickles. Did I tell
you really?
I did. Did I tell him that when I met him at the Creative Pro event that I was a lumberjack for? I did not. I mentioned none of it. I talked about weight loss and how him hitting the stairs like crazy inspired me to be one of the things that I did in my weight loss and my strength training. None of the pickle mentions, but yes, you can still be a fan. And if that hurt my cred, I don't know that I have that type of cred that could be hurt by saying such a thing. I think it would only bolster it.
All right, well, this is not a question I normally ask, but listen, I have to now. Who have you marked out over? If you really didn't mark out over MJF, have you like had that fan moment backstage when somebody, a legend or somebody, came on the same show that you were on?
No, for me, like, okay, so like when I was like younger and stuff and like going into the hardcore stuff and going to a lot of the shows and I was like always coming up with like I liked a lot of my local bands. So I knew a lot of them and they were granted older than me and stuff like that. But I was like hanging out with them, going on tour with them, meeting the bigger touring national bands. Kind of like at that age growing up throughout my early youth into my early 20s. When I did the comic book stuff, I was like shooting the stuff back and forth occasionally with your Scott Snyder's, the writer, not the movie guy, the one who actually writes comic books, not Zack Snyder, Scott Snyder, the one who writes like, some people confuse those, and sometimes I do. And like Howard Porter Jr. from The Flash and stuff, and like various DC people here and there. So like, I don't know, I've kind of brushed elbows with people throughout my life. So like, anyone being more than just like a person, it's like you're a person who a lot of people know, you know. I also like don't want to say some of the things that I've done, some extra work stuff that I've done in wrestling, but I've brushed elbows with some people and I've like, I'm just like, hey, so-and-so. And then in the back of my mind, I'm like, I grew up watching so-and-so my whole life, or I played so-and-so in a video game.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm pretty cool about it because it's people are just people.
Yeah, they really are. They really are. I had that. I'm not promoting. I keep going to WrestleCade, and I apologize. Like Ricky Steamboat was sitting right in front of me, and I'm like, man, I'm 4 feet away from Ricky Steamboat, and maybe 5-10 years ago, I would have been arrested trying to give him a hug. Or listen, I am a hugger, by the way. I would have been arrested trying to give him a hug or something. But I'm like, dude, he was in the wrestling business. I'm in a wrestling business. It's like we're the same person. Not really. He does a lot more than I do. Trust me. I sit behind a mic or I hold a mic. That's it. But you know, we're the same thing. We're both people. Just hey, nice to meet you. Big fan. Peace out. I didn't have to do anything crazy.
I since you brought up hugs and we're talking about like marking on people or whatever. I didn't really mark out on them per se, but I remember I did a meet and greet. As a fan, pre-wrestler, with Tony Schiavone. This was AEW Tony Schiavone, so it was only like 3-4 years ago, maybe. But one, best hugs in all of wrestling, Tony Schiavone. He's got good dad vibes, you know? Yeah. Great guy. Eric Bischoff was right there to the left, and I was thinking in my mind, I was like, I want to tell him that, like, I wanted to, like, punch him in my face when I was a kid for so many years. I was like, I hate you, man. But you're so good at what you're doing because that's why I hate you so much still to this day. Not that I real life do, but you know what I mean? I believed. But yeah, no, Tony Schiavone, sweetheart. I got him to sign I worked at Starbucks too, so I had an extra Starbucks apron and I got him to sign that.
Because you
we're
wore
not so
one with
different.
Britt. Nice.
He he got a good laugh out of it. You know what I mean? He understood. He said it was a first, and I was glad of that. You know what I mean? I always hope that it's something that they kind of remember a little bit. It's a little tongue in cheek, but it was adorable. Yeah.
That's awesome. What's goals going forward for 2024? More travel? What's up?
2024. Yeah, my goals for sure are I'm restricting my diet, honing in that a little bit more. I'm upping the weights across the board. I'm gonna I haven't really strength trained as much this year, so I'm definitely gonna strength train more, despite the fact that I've put on more muscle. I want to travel more. I want to work more, better opponents. I also want to get and make sure I put a further asset this year into in-ring training as well. Just a deeper focus into that, because I feel like as I'm getting more serious, then I need to just keep investing even more time into that. So that's something I want to do, and travel to a few different schools maybe and work with some different people in that like behind the scenes training aspect. And not just like the in-ring work with different people, but the training too. Yeah, just getting better. You know what I mean? Presenting a new version of myself. I'm going to be making a big splash at the beginning of the year that I haven't announced yet. It'll happen. It'll change things in a big way for me as a person and as a wrestler. So that'll be exciting. It'll definitely affect my early half of the next year, but it's going to be good. It's going to be really positive for myself, and it's good. Yeah, heck yeah, I'm gonna crush it. I don't know if I can swear or not.
Oh, you can swear. Yes, please
And I
swear.
don't even know if this is a swear, but like I have it on the back of a few of my shirts, so the ones that I hand make life your bitch. That's my motto. That's what I do. I make life my bitch. And that's what I'm gonna do next year. Make 2024 my bitch.
I love it. Before I let you go and do your whole socials, buy merch, I always ask this, and this should change all the time, but I always ask this: dream match. But I have a caveat. I want to know who, where you want to have the match, and what stipulation.
Ooh. I don't know what my dream match is. Is my dream match because like for me like it's like something that's obtainable right now.
That's fine.
I don't know, but like I don't know. I last year I said the match that I wanted, and I got that match. Last year I wanted to wrestle Christina Marie, and I got to wrestle Christina Marie in the main event in our local area that we're both from, and that was like the biggest thing that I did this year in my mind. So that was hype. I would love to wrestle Nyla Rose big time. And I want it to be more than just the trans stuff, and I don't want that to be the aspect. She was a big inspiration to me, you know what I mean? It was a sweetheart to me, and seeing that somebody else could do that, you know what I mean, in the position that I'm at was huge inspiring to me. So that would be dope. I mean, obviously you get to wrestle somebody in the E. I want to wrestle the big strong women across the board. I want to wrestle Jordan Grace. I would love to wrestle Sunny Kiss. I would love to wrestle like some of those bigger names for sure. Not that any name isn't bigger. They just haven't had the exposure that they deserve. But as far as those like notable names, yeah, let's go. Anyone strong, powerful, let's go. Step it up.
Is there a match that you can pick?
A match type?
Yeah, a match type that you really want to knock off next year.
I would love to wrestle in a cage. I don't think they put women in the cage as much, and I would love to wrestle in a steel cage and just really go at it for sure. I would love to wrestle in a ladder match, but a cage, yeah, I think that's probably my number one desired match. That would be dope. Anywhere, let's say New York, because that's a big town, and I'm from New York, so travel won't be as bad, huh?
Yeah, Madison Square Garden. Then we'll just throw it out there.
Let's just do it. Boom. No, let's do the Barclays Center because it's nicer, huh?
Touche. It really is. Madison Square Garden has the history, but Wolf was there a couple years ago. It's a dump.
History. We'll make our own history, you know?
Yeah. Nyla Rose, Barclays Center, in a cage for whatever. Yeah.
Let's go.
Is there a match you wouldn't do? Like
a
death match, a hair match, anything like that?
I mean, I'm sure if somebody's going to throw a stipulation at me and I'm like, no, not today, friend. Yeah, I don't want to wrestle. I don't want to lose my hair. Who wants to wrestle? Who wants to lose their hair? No, not for me. Would I risk it? I'd have to see the opponent. That's for sure. I don't know. I'm up to put risks up there, but no, I don't know. I would turn down matches for sure if I'm like, no, thank you. An electric this match, an electric eel match. Like, what does that?
Well,
No, I
geez,
don't.
no, God, no. We weren't even going down that line.
I don't want to hurt the eels. Like I don't know what type of wild match stipulation they might throw at me, so I can't just openly say like, yeah, I'll take any match, and then they're like, oh, any match, huh? How about this one? And I was like, damn, I said any match. It's too late.
Pete is going to be outside the door. We don't need that. We don't need any of that.
You don't need that.
All right, this is your time, dear. Give us your merch, your socials, where you're going to be, without making that big announcement. You guys will have to go to our social medias for that, but give us all that stuff, your rundown.
Yeah, no, I am pretty much Taylor OneShot anywhere. It's always going to be the word one shot. Everybody on flyers puts one shot as one word. It's two words, but yeah, I am Taylor OneShot anywhere. I have t-shirts on Pro Wrestling Tees. You can find me on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitter, or X, or whatever they're calling themselves these days. You can find me in a whole bunch of other places, some of which are more mature. Figure it out yourself. Yes, Taylor OneShot.
Okay. Dude, you might be the first more mature one that I've had bring it up at least, but nonetheless.
Yeah, why not? I mean, who knows what age groups, whatever, correspond with your appropriate age, guys, okay? Do the math and be responsible. Again,
everything is explicit on here because we're truckers most of the time. We were being nice for you today.
But still be responsible, guys, okay? Especially when you're on the road.
Agreed. Taylor, I miss anything you want to bring up, talk about, anything like that?
Nah, I mean, I'm sure there's always things you can chit and chat about, but it was fun. It was good. We touched on some moments and we shared some conversation. We had a time.
We did. You're always welcome back on. You can do whatever you want. Awesome. You can call, and we'll make this happen again.
Totally. Awesome.
Thank you very much, dear.
Awesome. Yeah, it was great talking. I hope you have a great night, guys, and everybody else listening.
This is the hottest commodity professional wrestling, Fletcher Young. You're listening to Mark the Marks. Man, Mark the Mark. What a stupid name. This guy tries to be in with all the wrestlers. It's no wonder why he called himself the Mark. But check out his podcast. It's called Can Crushers. And be sure to check Fletcher Young out on all the local independents.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was my interview with Taylor OneShot. And how cool is she? And how about my comparisons? I gloat every time that I get them right. Because, listen, it's really the only thing I can hang my hat on in life sometimes is getting the comparisons that I know wrestling. And maybe people are going to come at me like, Mark, you don't know wrestling. You're just guessing. Or da-da-da-da-da. No, I really... Couple clips here and there, watched of Taylor, and then I saw the fall away slam, and I'm like, oh my, she loves Scott Hall. So, and what a hell of a fall away slam. But how about everything she's overcome? And man, the dream match, would love to see her and Nyla just tear it down. How awesome would that be? I super would love to see that. But my favorite part of the whole interview, and maybe I'm going to have to, get some people in an armbar or a headlock or something to talk about these, because they are pretty amazing. When we both were talking about the backstage matches, and again, fourth wall, we said it during the podcast, so I can say it now too, just the way some of them are put together, the walkthrough, you just picture what's going on, and then boom, they take it to the ring. I'm glad Taylor said that. I really am, because you don't have a lot of people saying that or even want to talk about the matches backstage, as I put that in air quotes, but that's a big part of wrestling. It's a big part of independent wrestling. I mean, you've heard the stories of even WrestleMania 3, one of my favorite matches, of Steamboat and Savage, how Savage wanted everything, to the T, knowing what's going on all the time. That was Savage's MO. But, speaking with Ricky Steamboat a while back, he loved hanging out with Flair in matches because everything was call in the ring. So there's two different types of matches going on in the ring that you see, and sometimes that match has been planned backstage, and then sometimes you have no idea when it's planned. They're just playing off the heat or the cheers or everything of the crowd. So need to put that in our repertoire a little bit more to talk about some of that. So Taylor, we're going to give you a huge shout out for that. Make sure you follow her journey in professional wrestling because it's going to be a hell of a one. Thank you once again, Taylor, for coming on the show. All right, guys, time to get ready for this play that I'm in. So, yeah, if you guys are in and around the St. Mary's area in Pennsylvania, come and see A Christmas Carol. You won't be let down. But remember, just because you're trash doesn't mean you can't do great things. It's called a garbage can, not a garbage cannot. Make sure you tell your loved ones you love them, because you never know.